As you may already know, in Ghana here, wherever you find yourself mentioning the name of Nam1 or Menzgold, the people around will always have divided opinions because already half of Ghanaians strongly believe that Nam1 deserves his downfall and must as well be a resident of Nsawam prison for scamming Ghanaians out of their monies to the tune of over 200 million Ghana cedis. Hey, is it dollars or cedis? Well, before the video gets to the end, you will know whether it is in cedis or dollars. On the other hand, we have people including influencers like Sarkodie, Shatawale, Stoneboy, Bulldog and the likes who also feel that Nam1 was the Kwame Nkrumah of our time. But some ungrateful Ghanaians pulled him down. So, who is right here and what really happened? Well, this is the story.
We believe in Menzgold. We will never panic.
Why are you here today?
I'm from Kumasi because my money locked at what Menzgold.
Okay, now for you as an individual, how much of your money has been invested here?
2.1 billion.
I'm talking about 400,000.
It's annoying. What are they trying to tell us?
How much of your money was invested here?
Sometimes I do not want to disclose my money on the air because when I mention it, my heart.
Oh boy! We want the media, yes, and the good people of Ghana to know that Appiah Mensah.
Since the Menzgold saga is still under court, we shall not be diving too deep into it. Therefore, we are exploring the story from the point of view of an innocent lady who invested in Menzgold. Okay, so let's say you are that lady and on the 24th December, you received a call from your mom and she tells you that she has been diagnosed with stage 3 of type 2 diabetes. Therefore, she has to be on insulin. Swap ideal milk with an expensive premier creamier, reduce the amount of cassava in her fufu and stop eating most of our local starchy heavy food that are so fulfilling.
Hey, are you serious? The thing where you people don't understand, say, the fufu is in the blood, inside the veins, it is run in your blood. Hey, de papa, hey, de papa, see, and you're a joke right here, not a joke.
This meant that all of a sudden her lifestyle has become more expensive than her income. Therefore, the burden is now on you to put in more financial support towards your mom and some of your younger siblings. Meanwhile, your business is not doing well like before. This led to weeks of sleepless nights asking yourself, how do I make more money? How? But one day, as if you are holding some kind of a lucky penny, you magically bump into an old friend who happens to have the solution to your financial situation, Menzgold. Well, at that time, it was called Men's Bank, and we'll go into how the name changed from Men's Bank to Menzgold pretty soon. She tells you about her investment at Men's Bank, which yields a whopping 10 to 12% profit without any konabra and sensembia. And you were like, 10% every year? It's amazing. She responded, no, it's not every year, but every single month, which means 120% a year. You responded, are you sure? And she replied, the company deals in gold. It's simple. So you buy the gold from them and you let them keep it and trade it for you. Then every month you go for your profit, and also at the end of the investment period they give you back the full amount that you invested. So since your business is already not doing well, you diverted about 90% of your capital into Men's Bank investment. 4 months later, you look back and you were glad you invested in Menzgold because levels don't change. Therefore, you convinced your mother to withdraw her small savings at the rural bank for you to invest in Menzgold, and she gladly did. So, after going to deposit your mother's money at Menzgold, on your way back home, you met Kwame, an old friend, and out of excitement, you introduced Menzgold to Kwame, and he responded, "Yeah, I've heard about Menzgold already." So you were like, "So you're a Menzgold customer?" He replied, "No, not yet. Some other friends told me about Menzgold, and based on my research and due diligence, I think Menzgold is a Ponzi scheme, so I haven't invested." Kwame went on to reveal that Menzgold was previously called Bank, but on the 11th March 2015, Bank of Ghana published a notice which listed banks that are operating in Ghana without a BOG license and cautioned Ghanaians against working with such banks. While some of the banks on the list rushed to BOG to secure licenses to operate safely, the CEO of Bank, Nam1, did something different. He changed the name from Bank with K to Bank with C. So, this move compelled Bank of Ghana to issue another notice on the April 13, 2016 to caution Ghanaians about the risk involved in depositing and investing money with Bank, which is not under Bank of Ghana regulation. In addition, BOG further wrote a letter to Nam1 to caution him about his deposit taken at the unregulated C Bank, but it seems like Nam1 ignored them and continued taking deposits. Therefore, on the 2nd August 2016, Bank of Ghana invited Nam1 for a sit-down discussion about his operations. So, it was at this meeting that Bank of Ghana came to the realization that Bank does not actually operate a traditional bank, but rather a gold vault market. However, since Nam1 could not disprove the fact that Bank take deposit from clients with contracts issuing guaranteed returns of 120% annually, as a result, BOG speculated that Bank is operating a capital market which is under the jurisdiction of the XCC. Kwame continued, "But you see, up till now, Nam1 can't go for the SEC licenses simply because it's a Ponzi scheme. I keep telling everyone it will eventually collapse just like every pyramid scheme." At this moment, all these terms, Ponzi and pyramid scheme, were all new and confusing to you. So you asked Kwame to break them down for you. He explained that founders of Ponzi schemes do not actually use the money to do legitimate business as they tell their clients. In reality, they just redistribute money from new client to old clients, and the cycle continues like that. You replied, "But it doesn't look like a bad thing. It sounds almost like the same thing that every bank do. So what is the big deal here?" Kwame responded, "The big deal is that it can collapse within a blink of an eye if they can't get new clients to bring in new money, and also the founder can run away at any time. And because they don't operate with licenses, when it collapses, the government does not support the victims." You quickly replied, "But I don't think it's a Ponzi scheme because this is my second investment, and this time around they did not even take the money from me. I paid for the gold at Brew Marketing Consort, so how can it be a Ponzi?" Kwame responded, "Brew Marketing is not actually a different company because when BOG and SEC started to do deep investigations into the operations of Bank, Nam1 once again changed the name from Bank to Menzgold and also opened a new office under the name Brew Marketing. So it's just a disguise. In reality, when you purchase anything from Brew Marketing, you are actually making deposits into Menzgold. It's all a fugazi. But let's even assume for a second that Brew Marketing Consort is a separate company owned by a different person altogether. It will still not make any sense that Menzgold will buy raw gold through Brew Marketing for you, so you can give the gold back to Menzgold to refine it, sell it, pay you your profit, and keep on paying you profit every single month and still return your initial capital after the investment period. Why? Why would any company do that when they could make much more profit by just refining the gold and selling it in the first stage by themselves? They will make more profit this way. So you see, they are only using the gold to cover and disguise the Ponzi scheme. At this moment, everything that was coming out of Kwamene's mouth sounds depressing to you. So you found a way to end the conversation and walked away. So, as you walk away, let me ask you this serious question before we continue the story. How do you actually feel about Ghanaian landlords taking up to 2 years rent advance? So, if I show you a way that you can use to pay your rent on a monthly basis, what will you do with that advance money? Upgrade your phone, start a side business, or further your education. Okay, well, regardless how you spend that money, let me introduce you to Remo Homes, today's video sponsors. Remo Homes will actually help you by paying your rent advance on your behalf to the landlord so that you can pay it back to Remo Homes on a month-by-month basis. Whether you are renewing your old rent or you are renting a new place, all you have to do is to click the link in the description, submit the required details for verification, get your approval within 3 days, and be like me, rent your dream home on a monthly basis. Now, back to the story. But in case the contact Remo na was sort of out, na kaimo sikana nkeriko to rent na sisia receive no na enrich mo yi social media na true me share am. Okay, now let's get back to the story. As the days roll into weeks and months, Kwamen's statement kept echoing in your mind. You were confused as hell. So you called a friend that introduced you to Menzgold and told her the stories you've heard about Menzgold, to which she responded, "Oh, don't mind the haters. Menzgold has signed some top celebrities such as Becca, Stonebwoy, Kwame, and many more as brand ambassadors. So how can it be a Ponzi scheme? Stop listening to these broke haters and check out the big things Nam1 is doing in this country in the news." This gave you some vim, so you decided to follow the news closely to keep yourself updated. Shortly afterwards, it appeared in the news that Nam1 has signed Stonebwoy to Zylofon Music. Through that news, you got to realize that Nam1 established the Zylofon Music earlier that year and has already signed musicians like Komogitai, Obibini, and Becca. We also found out that there is a TV and radio station under the Zylofon Media Company. These realizations instilled in you hope and trust in Nam1. You felt like if he was not genuine, he would not be bold enough to establish such companies and get all these top personalities to work under him. And the very next month, movie stars like Sweet Annan, James Gardner, Bibi Bright, and Benedetta Gaffa were all signed under the Zylofon Media. This made Nam1 and Menzgold even more legit in the eyes of many more Ghanaians. Ghanaians who were initially on the fence about Menzgold started jumping in their numbers. Some people sold their cars, lands, and other assets to invest in Menzgold as the fear of missing out goes up and up and up. Others even took loans from banks to invest in Menzgold. So, as a result of hundreds of thousands of Ghanaians rushing to the various offices of Menzgold to invest their hard-earned money, SEC released a notice on the 22nd September 2017 to inform the general public that Menzgold is not licensed to trade gold on the capital market. But unfortunately for SEC, since they don't have brand ambassadors with passionate fan base or any unique campaign strategies like Menzgold, their public notice did not reach anywhere. On top of that, some of the fans of the brand ambassadors and customers of Menzgold even jumped to the defense of Nam1 and lambasted SEC for trying to PhD an individual who is doing so much to help the ordinary Ghanaians out of poverty, and as well as putting the Ghana music and movie industries on the map. Regardless the SEC's public notice, by the end of 2017, Menzgold was handling over 100 million Ghana cedis in daily transactions across their branches all over the country. This only proved to Nam1 that he has got himself a working business master blueprint. So all he has to do next is to double down and duplicate, which is to invest in industries and brands that have passionate fan base. Even though back on the 19th September 2017, the Minerals Commission had already sent a letter to Nam1 to remind him that the license Menzgold have is solely for buying gold in Ghana and exporting to other countries. The letter went on to give Menzgold 10 days to desist from misleading the general public and further caution the company to stop the gold vault investment activities within Ghana and focus solely on the gold exporting business they got the license for. But come January 2018, Nam1 doubled down by signing the loudest artist in Ghana who has the most passionate fan base, Shatta Wale. Shortly afterwards, he duplicated the blueprint by establishing Zylofon Cash to sponsor Ghana Premier League. As they say, football is the passion of the nation. So, establishing presence within the Ghana music, movie and football industries opened many heavy doors for Nam1 to enter narrow corridors of powers to meet with high-profile people like the President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, National Chief Imam Sheikh Osmanu Nuhu Shaributu, the Asantehene Otunfo Osei-Tutu II, Minister for Trade Alan Tremantin, and many more. This got Bank of Ghana panicking. Therefore, they issued another warning to the general public about Menzgold, and as a result, the stubborn academy prefect at the time, at that time, Nam1 was the stubborn academy prefect. But now Sam George has taken over. Okay, back to the story. Nam1 responded by dragging BOG on Twitter to focus on the exchange rate and failing banks. Well, Nam1 later apologized though. And at this point, it seemed like Nam1 has affiliated his image with almost every respectable brand in the country except regulatory agencies, especially BOG and SCC. So, the more these brands grow, the more Menzgold becomes a household name and appears to be legit in the eyes of the average Ghanaian. But in the eyes of these regulators, the exponential growth of Menzgold was terrifying. So, all this while since 2017, both the SEC and BOG has been conducting their own undercover investigation separately by visiting some of the Menzgold offices to engage with some of the workers. BOG went as far as investing in Menzgold on 3 different occasions just to have clearer understanding of Menzgold's trading business. SCC also had some meetings with top management members of Menzgold in the month of August 2018 to gain better insight into the operations of Menzgold. After this series of investigations, the regulators concluded that Menzgold is operating beyond their mandate, which means that even though Menzgold has business certificate from Registrar General Department to do business in Ghana, regardless having license from Minerals Commission to export gold from Ghana to other countries and probably paying tax to Ghana Revenue Authority, Menzgold still need to get a license from the SEC to operate the gold trading on the capital market. Even their adverts should be approved by the SEC before they can be played on TV and radio stations, just like FDA do with food and drugs. Yeah. By the third quarter of 2018, Menzgold was allegedly serving over 1 million active customers, and this was a nightmare for SEC. Now, the question is, if Menzgold has licenses from these other authorities to buy and export gold, why is Nam1 adamant to secure the one ultimate license from SEC to back their gold investment operations in the manner they are doing? Some would say because probably SEC may not allow any legitimate company to offer a whopping 120% profit annually to customers. Other business experts also speculate that because it is a Ponzi scheme, that is why Nam1 could not go to SEC for licenses. Because if he attempts, he will be exposed in the documentation process. And as you may already know, almost every Ponzi scheme eventually collapses one way or the other. And it's either the scheme can't get new customers to bring in new money to redistribute to the old customers, or the founders run away with everyone's money. So now that over 1 million Ghanaians have joined Menzgold, which is now tagged as a Ponzi scheme, what is the worst thing that can happen? Well, imagine about 10 or 15 million Ghanaians joining a Ponzi scheme and somehow the scheme collapses. The effects of such a disaster can be very disturbing. For example, back in 1996-97, the collapse of certain Ponzi schemes in Albania led to a very nasty civil war, which resulted in the collapse of the government of the day and the killing of over 2,000 people. Meanwhile, the passionate customers of Menzgold are strongly defending Nam1 with various arguments such as this.
One district, one factory. No, every year, a day na yechewe. Sister Kanokre, wajuma we bosumunya 100 million. Me 100 million me jiwa bosume 100 nukre bi say go achiro baapa. Me sanji 24 kawo. Me be mu 6 months nie. Me ji me sika de bia. We wanya pere amfo ni bia. Me sro baako me ji ni di.
Me, I don't fear said another Missika big and another user. The guy is doing a good job. Ultimate Castle Tontos in Yadwa and Yeska. From Genesis to Zacchaeus, not to Gini, and Odinian Sika. And to be making Sika is not a big problem. But the guy is doing the right. He's paying us. Otriaka.
Media for some who don't make us a multi be an ammo can one run a boy home. But they be any apollo. Say, be in Makoye, I'm still with the Menzgold and Nana Appiah Mensah.
And as I'm speaking to you, we the Menzgold customers, we don't trust the government. We are saying we don't trust the government because from day one, what did the government say? Government says Menzgold is practicing ponzi stream. But at the end of the day, you know, it is not true. Ponzi stream.
However, regardless, the customers stand support for Nam1. On the Friday, 7 September 2018, the SEC sent a letter to Appiah Mensah directing him to shut down Menzgold's business aspects of trading in gold collectibles with guaranteed returns, which they don't have licenses for. The letter went further on to ask Menzgold to stop taking new deposits and also stop advertising that aspect of the business. Menzgold can, however, still continue buying and exporting gold to other countries. So the following week on Wednesday 12 September, Nam1 and his lawyers Kwame Nkrumah and Co. replied the SEC that Menzgold cannot follow SEC's directive to shut down, because back in 2017, the SEC themselves told the public that they've not given any license to Menzgold. Therefore, they don't have any power to shut any aspect of Menzgold business down, and also went on to say that shutting down will affect Menzgold's customers very negatively, so they can't obey their directive. Nam1 will go on to hire an additional law firm, Baker McKenzie, which is based in United Kingdom, to support their Ghanaian lawyers to fight their legal battle against the regulators. After bringing in the international lawyers, Nam1 proceeded to issue a press release on the 12th September to address the customers and stated that as a result of SEC's directive, he has decided to temporarily halt the payment of profit to customers and also halt any new deposit taken for 6 days in order to resolve the issues with SEC once and for all. He then assured the customers that the halt will not go beyond 19th September 2018, because by then everything will be ironed out. The new lawyers Baker McKenzie also sent a letter to SEC on the 4th September acknowledging SEC's directive and added that even though Menzgold disagree with SEC, they will voluntarily and temporarily shut down in order to engage with SEC to resolve the issue in good faith. And as expected, this triggered customers and fans of Nam1 to stage demonstrations and social media campaigns to stand with Nam1 amidst passion SEC, BOG and the government of Ghana. And now, just like you, almost every customer of Menzgold is eagerly counting down the 6 days and also praying to God for the best outcome. But on the 5th day, Nam1 came out to extend the temporal halt by additional 10 days. And the reason he gave was that they've still not reached a useful conclusion with the SEC yet. And you tell yourself, all is well, all is well, all is well. So come 25th September, you watch Joy News as they interview the Deputy Director General of SCC, Mr. Paul Abibio, and he indicates that they only stop Menzgold from taking new deposits, but they never stop Menzgold from paying customers their deserved profits. He also stated that up till now, Nam1 has not submitted certain documents they asked him to bring for license registrations. That same evening, Nam1 released a statement to reply Mr. Paul Abibio, and in the reply, he doubled down that Menzgold is not able to pay customers profit because of SCC's directive to stop trading. However, he began to contemplate on the current state of Menzgold. So if Menzgold can't pay we the old customers our profits because they can't take new deposits from new customers, then maybe what Kwame Nkrumah said about Menzgold being a Ponzi scheme can be true. And once again, you tell yourself, all is well.
Our money, our blood. Our money, our blood. Our money, our blood. Today, Menzgold is treating us as criminals. They are so-called cherished customers. We have now become what? Criminal customers. How on earth now, if you are entering Menzgold's office, you need to get security clearance?
Even sleep. I can't sleep. My case is becoming a police case. A police case because orphanage money is involved. They should give us our money.
How much are we talking about here?
Here, we are talking about 400,000.
For them, government could show a lot more commitment if it could cause the arrest of Menzgold CEO.
Nam1 is not above the law. If he's doing something that is not good, that's to arrest him and bring him.
And 8 months after the CEO of the company, Appiah Mensah and Nam1 got arrested in Dubai, well, the gentleman was arrested at the Kotoka International Airport today.
Ever since this whole thing started, we exercise so much patience and we think everything will go on well. You brought a payment schedule and said this, that, you're going to pay. It never happened. You came back saying that you are going to pay a 15% to us, and it never still came. You're not paying dividends, you're not paying principal, you're not paying interest, you're paying nothing. Come on.
So far as Appiah is in Ghana now, what we are telling the government is if they are not able to collect the money from us, then we are going to take the law into our own hands.
I hear today telling Menzgold that from today, effective from today, if they don't pay us, another demonstration is coming on.
Whilst most of the Menzgold customers are embarking on various demonstrations after demonstrations after demonstrations over the years against both Nam1 and the government about their locked up funds, you were thinking like, what if we, the customers, could just collect the gold instead and find a way to trade on our own? So you started researching how to go about it, and at some point you had to take a second look at the investment contract you signed with Menzgold. And that is where you realize that you didn't pay much attention to the contract from the onset, because some of the statements, clauses, conditions and specifications in the contract is not making sense to you at all now. You came to the realization that gold ore is not pure gold as you initially thought, but it is rather raw unrefined gold mixed with other substances and chemicals. Your research also revealed that aurum utarum is not actually the long form of the element Au which symbolizes gold, but it is just rather a term used by people like Nam1 to evade the laws. You learn that yes, aurum is a Latin word for gold. However, utarum is just a fake word. Therefore, when one joins the aurum plus utarum, it becomes a fake gold, which means that any shiny golden object can be referred to as aurum utarum. Gold scammers normally use this term in their contract so that should a victim eventually catches up with the scam or sue them in the law courts, they can easily wiggle out by saying,
"Objection, Your Honor." 2-1.
The contract says aurum itarum and I gave him aurum itarum, and yeah, they will be technically right. So based on the realizations from your own research findings and everything that is happening in the news about the Menzgold saga, starting from Nam1 failing to keep any promises made to customers about paybacks.
My money locked at what Menzgold 2 years now. That's why you were here. This morning you came here to collect my money. Other than that, I couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, we've come up with like 3 or 4 payment schedules that we're not able to follow through. And we have apologized to our customers for that. But, you know, since we're going through a lot of challenges, these things are bound to happen.
Coupled with Finance Minister's statement,
the government says it will not use public funds to pay customers of Menzgold Ghana Limited their locked-up investment.
you decided to stop following the news surrounding Nam1 because the more you follow the news, the more you feel devastated, depressed, and pains. You concluded that for the sake of your mental health, it's better for you to accept your loss and move on.